Hey guys, you're watching Daniel and Gian talk, and today we are going to do a full review of the 2010-2011 feature film Dhobi Ghat. They released it internationally as Mumbai Diaries. That's how we know it. So I know we noticed in the reactions that people were like, "The hell is Mumbai Diaries? What movie is that? I've never even heard of that shit."
Which is weird because that's a totally different.
Yeah.
It has two different meanings entirely.
Exactly.
Like, I could see Mumbai Diaries, but it's like, it gives a whole different impression if you just let it be what it is.
Right.
Especially when you're the character. Anyway, when you get into the story.
And I think maybe that has to do with it too, because if you go Dhobi Ghat, it makes it seem like the Muna is like the main character,
the main
in the
guy,
film, and he's not. He's I mean, he's important. He's
he's the anchor to everything.
Right.
Because without him, the girl doesn't interact with Aamir Khan. Like, no one interacts with each other. But
well, they don't re-interact with each other.
Yeah. There you go.
Because she's a stalker.
That's also weird, and that never gets brought up. I guess we could just dive right into it.
Yeah.
I actually did see this movie, and the reaction, I said I didn't see it, but as I was watching, I'm like, I remember this. So we watched this, for those who didn't watch our reaction or just watching the review for the first time. At USC, we had an international cinema class, and this was like India Week. This movie was selected to exemplify Indian cinema, contemporary Indian cinema.
It was a bit disappointing because we were expecting like dancing.
We were expecting Salman Khan.
Yeah.
We didn't know that at the time, but that's what we were expecting.
Right.
We were expecting Salman Khan films.
And the chapter of the book we had to read, that's all it really talked about, was all these like, it talked about all these colorful, like,
extravagant
basically
dance
all it talked
sequences.
about was masala films, and then it shifted from that to Sajid
like
Ray to the Apu trilogy.
Apu trilogy.
Then it talks about the Apu trilogy, and it talked about how the audience is and stuff.
And then they showed us a movie that literally reflected
had nothing to do with any of what the book said. I remember being a little bit disappointed. I was expecting this big like spectacle, and we get this like super indie film with like no real story, just kind of
nothing.
Yeah.
No action, no dancing,
no
music,
no, just this odd narrative.
But it's 4 years later. Or no, it's been 6 years. Jesus Christ, it's been a long time. What do you think of the movie now? Because I know you ditched that class. You didn't watch the whole movie. Now you watched.
No, I watched the whole one.
But it wasn't during the class, though, was it?
No, that was one of the times. Like, so full disclosure, during this class, I used to leave all the time. I would never stick around. This is one of the few where I stuck around for the entire screening.
So we did stay.
Yeah, and I can't tell you why. Maybe it's because it was short. I think that was part of it too. Like a lot of the films they were showing, they were like 3-hour films, and this one was like, oh, hour 40 minutes. I could squeeze that. I could do this one.
I could tell you right now that when I watched the movie, I did not know Aamir Khan was popular.
Yeah.
First time.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that it was like this big star. I just thought he was some nobody.
Right.
But anyway, what'd you think of it now? Like in retrospect. In 2018.
I mean, I could definitely appreciate it more now than I did back then.
But yeah, so let's get into the story, if you could call it that. Focus on three characters and their interweaving narrative, I guess.
If you could argue it's 4 characters.
Who's the fourth?
The home video lady.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Even though you don't really see her like interact in the present. But okay, I can buy that.
And that, to be honest with you, that stood out to me more than anything else. Was that
as a good or a bad thing?
As a good thing, like a creative choice to like tell the story of this lady through like a home video, like basically found footage, but not a found footage film, you know.
It inspires him. He's going through some shit. I didn't know what happened with the resolution with the girl. What, did she kill herself?
Yeah, she hung herself.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
because the
camera cuts out. Yeah, and then he looks up and there's
That's what I thought, and then he like has emotional.
She doesn't film herself like killing herself,
which I'm glad, because that would have been over the top.
It wouldn't have fit the tone of the film at all.
But I mean, it's a depressing movie all around. I mean, I think so. There's no
resolution to anything really.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, this is Mumbai. Take it or leave it.
I mean, it was a super French film. Like, it was.
For those who don't know, we're not saying that the movie's made by French filmmakers. We know that. French is a derogatory statement by saying like super pretentious. No story, character first.
But it was neo-realism kind of, you know, it wasn't. The film was not about the story. The film was about the characters, the place. You know, like Mumbai is really important.
I have something in my fucking eye, but I'm listening.
Mumbai is a character in itself in this film, you know, and I mean a lot of that is with the Muslim character from the found footage. You know, like she shows the city more than anybody else in this film.
What I appreciated about those is it was a way to narrate without having a narrator.
Right.
because she was like, oh, look at this. I'm going here. This is the city gates. And oh, look, this is the ocean. And then I'm going to say a poem. Like, she was basically talking like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it fit. Cinematography was great. Initially, I thought it was film, and now I'm actually kind of thinking it wasn't. I think it might have been like a digital camera that they laid over film, like a film stock. Because towards the end, like when they shot at night, they were shooting in that subway system, or no, it wasn't a subway, it was something where the brothers, like one of the brothers dies. You can see a lot of heavy digital grain, and that's not film grain. Those are completely different, which to me is something I noticed, but no one in the world probably gives a shit about.
There's probably no reason to even bring it up in this.
No, I'm just saying I like the cinematography because I thought I really did think the movie was shot in film, and I think most of it was, but I think towards the end, it
might have been like a reshoot thing.
It could have been, but now just going through technical, people like us talking about technical stuff. It felt weird that when they hook up, Aamir Khan hooks up with the girl at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then he's clearly like shut off, like she's trying to be all like, hey, this is cool, like,
right.
He's kind of like, no, this is just a booty call. And then when she basically figures out that this is a booty call, and she gets all angry, and then instead of him just being like whatever about it, he somehow grows feelings, like, oh, I'm sorry. That felt weird to me, just because.
Well, that felt okay because he tells her it's out of his character, and when it was out of his character, he's not that kind of guy.
He was so shut off.
Yeah, well, I think because
but
his character's kind of shut off the entire film. Like he's a loner. He likes to.
That's my point.
Focus on his
so you
art.
would think that he would just and move on.
Right, but I think that was a character point where he wasn't trying to shit on her. It wasn't like some like douchey dude
stuck his dick in her.
Right. Well, I mean, it was a moment. You know, it's just one of those. I think it's just a character. He's one of these artsy guys that does like impulsive things at times, and he was drunk as well.
Which, speaking of being drunk, in that scene,
what I found a little odd is, as an American girl, how like awkward it was for her, like how she didn't pick up on all these hints, you know. And she's an adult too. She's not like a little like 19-year-old girl. She's in her late 20s, early 30s, and she
didn't understand it was just a hookup.
Yeah, like
she fell in love immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they had one good night of drinking and listening to music.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was like okay.
Maybe she's just a little naive. Okay.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, it's definitely that was definitely a cliche movie trope that
she couldn't. She's not white. Because if she would have been white, you might have thrown that R card out there. That it was a bad hookup, and then she tells her friends like I hooked up with this Indian painter, and then he was just like threw me out on the street, and then her friends would be
girl.
Like, I think you were drunk. Are you sure you weren't raped? And then boom.
Yeah.
Then it just goes down
the
toilet.
We don't want to go.
No, we
Me
won't.
Too
we
on
won't
this.
Go Me Too. But the drunk scene or the drinking scene, there's moments during that scene where the whole scene is like out of focus.
Yeah.
Like they're interacting and the whole bit's out of focus. I like that. That was a nice little touch. It's letting the audience know subtly that they're drunk. That's because.
And you don't really hear what they're saying either. It's
exactly.
Like
it's out of focus.
Yeah.
They're drunk. It's a haze. It's a blur. It's just. So that was nice. I like that Mona killed rats. In addition to being
like that was one of his many shitty jobs.
And the only reason why I had an appreciation for it is because of that documentary Rats on Netflix. And they go to India and there's like groups of Indian guys who they know they have a rat problem, and that's what they do. They just go around just whacking rats. And they're like fucking crazy. Like no gloves, no. They just go out and just start just killing the rats.
Yeah, I couldn't do that.
And
job.
they don't. And the fucked up thing is that doesn't even put a dent.
Oh, no way.
Like it doesn't even remotely.
Rats are like the equivalent to cockroaches. They're like
just spread.
They're like the mammal cockroaches of the planet. Like they'll never go away.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a nice little spin. Because in 2012 when I watched this, I had no idea what he was doing. Like I don't understand why he's killing rats. Like it didn't connect to me. Now, because of the documentary, I'm like,
I
oh.
wonder how much they get paid too. You get paid per rat. You got to collect the
I think
rats.
yeah, it is.
What do they do with the rat
They
carcasses?
they put them in a bag. I'm serious. They show that in the
No, I know, but
doc.
when you hand the
Oh, I
rat
don't know.
carcasses,
I don't know.
what do they do?
I know in Thailand or whatever, they in that documentary they cook them. They kill them and then they cook them.
Like ground meat?
No, they just fucking skin them and then cook them like
Demolition
fillets.
Man when fucking Sylvester Stallone's
Never
eating
saw
them.
it.
You never saw Demolition Man?
No.
Jesus Christ. And you're not going to watch it, so...
I mean, there's maybe, who knows? I know what it is, I've just never seen it.
He goes into his underground community and
rats.
and they're serving burgers and he's like, "Oh man, this burger tastes great." And then the guy that's with him, Benjamin Bratt, is like, "Have you seen any cows around here?" And he's like, "No." And then he asks the lady in Spanish, "What is this made of?" And she's like, "No, it's made out of rat." And then he was like,
It could taste good.
"It tasted good to him." He kept eating it. He was like, whatever. The other guy was like, you know.
It could be good. I don't know. Also, off topic, kind of not like, but related to rats. They also talk about like a rat temple in India, which is also interesting. I didn't know that, where they see the rats at this temple as reincarnations of themselves. It's like, so that's why there's so many rats, and they're just like every time someone dies in this village or town, whatever it is, there's a rat for them. Like they're rats.
Right.
So they'll like feed them milk. You can't like kill them under any circumstances. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I'm not going to that town. I'm good.
But back to the story. I just brought that up because it was an interesting little, like, it didn't even need to be there when you think about it. He didn't have to be a rat killer, but it added to Mumbai because there are people out there who do that there.
I mean, and that's the argument, that the story is more about the city and just like the little interwoven stories that happen within the city.
The laundry, like he's a laundry boy. And
Yeah.
they clean the whole thing.
Laundry boy.
He's also / Magic Mike.
He's also a gigolo.
Yeah. Which I thought also was interesting. I must have not have picked up on that in the first time. I didn't even connect the two, but...
Well, I remember that part. But it's kind of... Munna's character was kind of like just this dude doing whatever he can to get by.
Which is weird, because if he's hooking up with older women, or at least the one... How come he never made a move on Homegirl? Ever?
I mean, I think...
There's a little moment in the theater where he kind of like gets comfortable.
Yeah, and then the moment where he thinks about kissing her when she's passed out.
Like,
she tries to pull a date rape move on her. But I think that was more like, you know, his level of society, like where he was at.
Are you saying cast?
I'm not saying cast. Not gonna say cast.
Socioeconomic level.
Yeah, but I think like his status, his social status. Like she's obviously wealthy. She comes from a wealthy family. They send her. She quits her job, and her parents are like, "Okay, you want to go take pictures?"
And she can go take pictures in a building that her dad's building.
Exactly.
To spy, which is weird in and of itself.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that weird like stalker aspect of the like. How did that make you feel? Like, can you do that nowadays without people being like, "Hey, this is
Well, if you're
creepy.
a woman, you can do a lot of things.
I'm gonna say
maybe not in India.
You
but
can
here.
do a lot of things because guys are less likely to call the cops and report you. Like guys are, because we're like not scared. We're just gonna be like, "Hey, if we catch you, we're gonna be like, hey, get the fuck out! Fuck off."
Well, it's like
you know,
it's like high school kids or teachers hooking up with their students.
Right.
If it's a guy hooking up with the girl, it's off limits. That guy needs to go to jail.
Yeah.
If it's a woman teacher hooks up with a high school student, you're like high five.
Right.
Why did you tell any? Why'd you ruin it? Why'd you tell anybody? You could have just kept it going.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's a difference. It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
I mean, or maybe it's not. I don't know. It was weird to me because it never really got brought up. Like, I was expecting a scene, and again, I don't really remember, like when they're going through when Munna and the girl are going through, like, her prints.
Yeah.
Maybe she finds one. But at the same time, it's like, the movie was so unlike being a movie that it didn't need to do any of that.
Right.
Like, there's no character development. There's no, like...
No. I mean, there's little bits and pieces.
But it's not a traditional narrative.
No, it's nowhere near that.
Where, I'm gonna get jealous of this, and then there's gonna be a big argument.
You could definitely tell this movie got made because Aamir Khan gave his wife money to make this movie. Like, this is not a movie anyone else would have really got.
But I think she was a filmmaker.
It's the only movie she's directed.
Well, I'm saying I think she's
produced and
she's been in the film world.
She's been in the industry, but this is like the one and only film that she's written and directed.
I resent you for
hasn't done anything since
for making her seem like she's riding off the coattails of her husband.
Oh, I know.
She's a strong, independent woman.
I mean,
Gian.
the truth fucking hurts, but you know.
I mean, there's just a lot of these curveballs. Like at the end, when Mona and the girl like separate, and then he like runs after the car.
Yeah.
In a Hollywood film, that'd be the part where he kisses her.
Or where he gets hit by the car and dies.
Don't know about that. I don't know what movies you watch, but that's not.
Oh, Cruel Intentions, buddy.
Yeah, but that's a totally different. That's like that's a sex revenge like movie.
How would you have felt if he got smacked by a car?
And died?
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends. It depends on what happens after. But no, he doesn't kiss her. He gives her the address to Aamir Khan, to Arun, which is like not what you'd expect at all. Yeah. I don't think anybody was expecting.
I think that was him finally accepting like that. This
he's
whole
not getting some.
That it's a fantasy in his head. Like he knows, like it's not. There's no way this is gonna happen. There's no way it's gonna work.
It could have though. He didn't shoot a shot.
It could have because she's a Western girl. Like so, she doesn't have the same mindset that everybody else does. Like
plus, she clearly wanted his dick when he took his shirt off.
Wow, that's arguable.
What's a good word for like?
He was definitely in the friend zone.
For those who are watching, what's Hindi for sausage? Like I want to know, like if in Spanish you'd be like you want to give him the chorizo. What would be the Indian sausage? So we can like, what's the equivalent for like the dick?
I mean, are there sausages in Indian cuisine?
I don't know. Let me know. But what's a slang for dick?
Every single fucking one of these reviews ends up with Daniel making some sort of dick reference. Like Jesus Christ, man.
Did he not want to give her the?
I think you need to go out. Sausage? You need to hook up with that guy and just get it out of your system, man. Just get it out of your system. That way you could say, "I did it." You know, I'm done. I'm over
gay,
it.
Bro.
Yeah, I know. It's accepted. Accept it. It's okay. No one's judging you. How'd you feel about the soundtrack? I felt like the soundtrack was an integral part of the.
It set the tone, yeah. But I mean, it just complemented everything.
Wasn't, and I think that's an important thing to bring up. That a lot of times,
music's overpowering.
Like the only music scoring class I took at USC, that was one of the main things the instructor, Kenny Hill, said. Rest in peace. Was that you need your music to help make everything better. You can't expect the music to make a good film. If the film sucks, the music's not going to make the film a good film.
If anything, it'll exemplify the suckiness of the movie.
What all the music is supposed to do is to like
underscore it.
Is to accentuate the good parts of the film and really make it pop. And I think this film, you know, underrated score. Like it really did that because there's nothing that I remember, like no like tune that's like stuck.
Well, nothing remember.
There's no Imperial March in it, you know?
Right. Well, I think that's important.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It was so subtle and background that I'm like whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that's a compliment to it too because it exemplified the performances. Aamir Khan was super reserved and toned down, which just shows you his range.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to be fucking 10 all the time. He doesn't have to be the funniest guy in the room. He doesn't have to be like the one with the best lines. I've said this numerous times about Aamir Khan, but this just exemplifies it even more. I mean, I'm just curious to know how the directing relationship was.
Right.
If she actually directed him or he was just, I don't know. I'm assuming she directed him. I shouldn't say it like that, but I mean, how much...
He was like, listen, sweetheart, okay, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and you just tell everybody else what to do. But me, you're going to let me do my thing, all right, babe? You know, and he like really talked down to her as well.
I doubt that's but I mean, it could. I don't know. But what I meant is more I think
like, he probably did whatever she told him to do because he didn't want to get it at night. You know, he didn't want. He didn't want to have to deal with that shit. Like he's falling asleep and then she wakes him up to be like, "Hey, you remember when you were on set and you said this thing to me? You know, yeah, that was really fucked up. Like you really made everybody look at me like I was stupid. And yeah, let's not do that again." Why does she talk like a valley girl? She has to. All right. Because if I try to do an Indian accent, people are gonna think I'm making fun.
No, but some people told us like there's a valley girl in India. It's like I forget what region though. It's like this certain region talk like that.
I'm sure it's where like
let us know in the comments.
The uber rich girls are at.
Either way, I just liked his super tone. I actually liked all the performances. They were all good. Nothing really stood out. I liked the.
If I'm gonna nitpick, which I always do, I think the girl's performance was the worst.
The weakest, for sure.
And I remember that her performance stuck out like a sore thumb when we watched it.
She was also supposed to be American, so maybe that's kind of
well, I mean, I think she is American.
No, I'm saying what I mean. I'm sure it stuck out for Indians as well when they watched it.
Right.
Because she's supposed to stick out.
However, this in the second time around, her performance was a lot better than it was the first time I watched. Because I remember like really like this is
cringing.
She's just bad. This is terrible. and then now on second watch, I was like, okay, it's a lot better than what I thought the first time around. And then the girl in the home video, she was great.
She was cool.
Real natural.
She was good. No, that's the one thing I forgot about was that story, but it was good.
There's also some things in there, and maybe you guys can explain it to us, like, or clarify. His buddy,
The one who dies?
The guy that dies. I read the plot breakdown online, and they said it was his brother. But
that's what I said.
Yeah, you thought it was his brother, but he doesn't live there with them. He lives in his own little like hut. One. And then two, when he dies,
he's a gangster.
when he dies,
Drugs.
nobody goes up to him to say, "Hey, we're sorry." They only go up to the little boy to say, "Hey, we're going to take care of your mom." They don't tell that to him. And then he tells the American girl, I wish I could remember her name, her character's name. He tells her that he moved here when he was 8 and moved in with an uncle. Like his parents are still back in his own village. So was he lying about that?
I don't remember, because I know they only showed like a family once.
Right.
Or twice.
He didn't spend any time there except for that one time where they're just watching TV before he goes out to kill rats. So that to me meant like that was just his homeboy. Like it was just like his good friend, you know.
Which is interesting too. I mean, that shit just makes me feel fucking uncomfortable watching that stuff. Like not killing rats, but I mean just people living under, like in that type of condition because the city's just. I don't know if it's because the city's so big or what the like, but I mean just. That shit fucking blows my mind.
You mean him living in that shack and finding a banner to cover the leak?
Yeah. And I might get shit for it in the comments, like for making it seem, but I don't care. Like that's just it's sad. Anyway, they could be happy because we talked about it numerous times before. Just because you live in an environment that's not like our own doesn't mean it's bad. But I feel like that's not the best type of living environment.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I didn't have the responsibilities I have now,
you'd be cool with living in a shack?
I could totally do that. I could totally be okay with that. Just having my little spot to like.
Not 100% like that though.
I mean, look, it's hot there, so you got all the fresh air. You got all the fresh air coming through.
But I don't know what it smells like.
Clean.
But what does it smell
We don't know.
like?
I mean, that's who knows?
In Sairat, that was one thing they popped because they go to Mumbai, don't they?
I don't know if that's a city they went to, but they go to
a big city.
They go to a big city,
and then they talk extensively about how shitty it smells.
Right.
Like
Well, she
literally,
does.
it smells like shit.
Yeah.
Well, because she comes from a different spot.
Right.
He could be used to that smell.
Exactly.
Again, I'm not saying that it's bad and it smells like shit and whatever. I'm just based on what I've seen. I wouldn't want to live under. I don't think anybody should live under conditions like that.
Right.
That's like doesn't matter where you're from or what you. I just feel like there should be.
I mean, I think there's just context involved. You know, you got
everything else.
You got a roof over your head. You know,
this is true.
You got food in your belly.
You're not living in the jungle.
He has electricity. Yeah, you're not living in the jungle, which
where you
actually
get killed by a tiger or something,
or mosquitoes. You know, or die from malaria.
So I'm not like it's just. For me, it's like fuck, man.
It's just enough. Yeah, I get it. Like,
and I think that's why they're showing it.
I mean,
too.
what it shows is like how pampered we've all grown up living over here. Because even the poorest of people don't live like that here, you know. And it's just a different.
But it's a different way of life.
Yeah.
Because clearly he's not the only one.
Well,
who's
I can't
living
tell you
there.
that like there's people that probably live on the bayou in New Orleans and like Louisiana
Who fuck their cousins.
that live well. That is Alabama.
Oh, okay. Sorry, wrong state.
Okay.
Sorry for all you people out there.
All you viewers from New Orleans.
My bad.
All the Indian cinephiles in Louisiana.
Well, My Name is Khan. Didn't they go there? They went to the South.
They went to like Mississippi or
some
something.
black
Yeah,
lady.
yeah.
So there might be some Indian people in the South.
The lady that died
Mammy.
in My Name, the Mammy character, is like now a huge Indian cinephile. So she might be watching this review. To be honest with you, this is a tough film to really dive into. Unless we're going like 100%. This is one of those films where if we decided to focus 100%.
Scene breakdowns.
Yeah, and like go real technical, we could say more about it. But because of the lack of story, because the plot was so loose.
And we're not actors,
and
so we can't like sit here and talk about performance. That's another thing too. Like sometimes we don't talk about performance. Actually, that's one of our most frequent comments. It's like, why don't you talk about the performance? We're not actors.
I mean, I don't think that excludes us.
But I mean, there's only certain, and then the performances that people want us to talk about always are always the best.
I can't tell anybody about acting techniques
or music,
you know, or yeah,
or
I don't know shit about music.
or reacting.
Yeah, like I did a little bit of acting for 3-4 years, but I don't have I never really took any classes and stuff, and I never cared about the whole process behind it, because there's so many different schools of acting and the things that people do beforehand. Acting is, I think, like screen acting is so much more about the process beforehand than the actual on-set stuff, because once
preparation.
Yeah, because of all the you're on schedule, you don't have so much time. We don't have I'm going to repeat the time again, but we don't have time on set to like really go through and break down a scene with an actor. Like they're either
unless you have money for pre-production, which
right.
a lot of times people don't.
No, they don't. So once you're on set, the director, a lot of people think the director's coaching performances. That's not a thing in film and television so much. And in theater, yes. In theater, you're sitting there and you're like, and this is from my experience as an actor. In theater, we're going through every single line and just over and over again. And part of this is because you have to memorize it and you're doing it live in front of people that you...
With no stopping.
Yeah, exactly. There's no cut. Let's do that again.
If you fuck up, you got to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. With television and film, it's more like cut, take the guy to the side, talk to him real quick, like, hey, why don't we try this, this, and that, and then go back into, because you're in such a time crunch and you want to move on to the next scene. If you could kill your budget spending a whole day on one scene,
Been there, done that.
Like they say, you start off with Citizen Kane, you end up Dukes of Hazzard, because you spent so much time at the beginning on these 1 or 2 scenes that
you don't have shit now.
Yeah, and now you just got to fly through and then hopefully save it in the edit.
I mean, there's some directors who definitely will be dictators and like direct every single thing, and then
that's
usually
called line reads.
Usually those people are not. They'll make that one movie,
yeah,
and that's it.
Actors hate working with directors that line read you, like, because you're not
on occasion, because sometimes it's like. It depends on the context.
Right. Well, if you fuck it up 10 times by take 11, like, listen, we've done 10 takes of this. I need you to say it just like this.
Yep.
And that's usually because you're a shitty actor. Like, really what it comes down to. If someone's coaching you, like, on the way you say your lines, it's because you suck as an actor.
Or you're not an actor.
And
that could be a technique to help non-actors.
And that's actually something
with kids.
It's something that Steven Spielberg does. Steven Spielberg line reads with all the children in his films, because they're not actors.
Kids.
Yeah, they're
and they
kids.
don't want to think about.
And they're not,
unless they're Christian Bale, because Christian Bale was great, and he talked about that too.
In Newsies?
No, in
Empire of the Sun.
Empire of the Sun, yeah. How he's like, I didn't, except for Christian Bale. I read everyone's lines except for Christian Bale, because he was acting like he acts now at fucking 10 years old. So, or however old he was for
He's
that
a
movie.
wonderkind.
He was.
Yeah.
But anyway, so do you have a score for this then?
I don't think it's fair to give it a score.
For me, it's a 7. It didn't blow me out of the water. I get people's criticisms, like the pretentiousness of it or whatever. Yeah. I don't think that's a detractor. I just thought by the end of it, it was a story. Okay, I saw it.
I mean, I'll give it like a 6.5, to be honest with you, if I'm going to throw a number out there. And I think this is definitely a film school film. This is definitely something that if you're taking film classes, they'll show you this to give you like a different perspective. Not just that, but there's technical stuff you can learn from it, I think, and use it for more mainstream films.
Yeah, limited shots. They didn't do 50 million shots of coverage.
Exactly. And we don't know. I don't think the budget was huge on this film either.
Not. Probably
so they used a lot of there was a creative use of things, and maybe you as you're a filmmaker yourself can use some of these if you're in a crunch for budget to make your own.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. Like, there's learning stuff from this as something that I would watch again. Probably not.
Even though you've seen it twice now.
Even though I've seen it twice.
I think this was one of Aamir Khan's better performances, though. Like, overall. Because, again, it's just... I really appreciate when an actor can take it off.
Right.
When you've seen them fucking go to 10, and then they can take it off.
Yeah.
And then really take it off.
And, I mean, I think... still my favorite film from him is Dongal, and I think Dongal, he had a similar type of performance.
Yeah, reserved. Back seat. I'm taking the back seat.
Exactly.
My name's on the front of the marquee. I don't think it was for this movie, but on normal, it's
I'm gonna let the girls take this film over, and this was kind of the same. Like, it was, he knew his part. The movie was 25% about him, and
he was an actor.
He did his 25%.
That's exactly.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't Salman this shit. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for us. Thanks for watching. I know a lot of people weren't excited about this review, so the the few of you that do watch this review, I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to watch Reaction Hour tomorrow.
And do you want to tell them what we're reviewing next?
We will be reviewing MS Dhoni, The Untold Story, next week. Gonna power through this 4-hour film, and
get shit for not
knowing
understanding
anything
cricket.
about cricket. Although
and then
I think
comparing it to
Lagan, we
baseball.
started learning it.
Yeah, no, I kind of get. I think I got a gist for
Yeah.
it. Baseball's better.
We'll see you next time.